I figured I'd go ahead and get the okra picking out of the way this morning, as that's getting pretty redundant in all these videos, but there are bees all over these flowers, which is a good thing. Okay, so update on the weekend. Didn't really do a whole lot in the garden this weekend other than I sprayed the neem oil spray again, which, as you saw at the very beginning of this video, there was a squash beetle, just one, and I got rid of it. Hopefully I can control those dudes. Not really sure what spray I have, if any of the sprays can help prevent those. I mean, the thing is that when you spray those things, these natural ones, they don't last very long on the plant. Like, they end up washing off pretty quickly, and it rained a good bit this weekend, so it probably just got washed off after I sprayed it on there. So that squash beetle probably didn't have any sort of effect. It didn't have any sort of effect on it anyway, so that's pretty much it. I do need to plant today. A lot of the things that are up on the back porch, they're not looking too healthy in there. I think it probably just a lack of sun and maybe even a lack of water. So I want to get them out into the yard. I do want to show you these beans. When I transplanted these beans, I pointed out that the beans over here and on the first trellis down here, that the ground, the soil right there was like just clay. But then over here on this side, on the second trellis that I built, the soil was much better. And you can see that in the plants. As you can see, these the two dragon's tongue bean plants at the front of the first trellis are just like leaning over and not looking very healthy. But the two dragon tongues plants on the other side, the complete opposite side over here, they look very healthy and are doing pretty well. And it's just completely different soil. I don't know why. I don't know how that happened, but it is what it is. We'll see if I can help these live over here. I doubt it's going to happen though. So maybe we'll have some dragon tongues that are healthy on the other side. But not even sure if they're going to make it to crop anyway before frost happens. And an update on the carrots and onions that were directly sown into this bed with the material that we got from the landscaping nursery place. They really don't seem like they're growing. Seems like they sprouted and then that's pretty much it. They don't seem to be growing. I mean, they should already be much bigger than this. In fact, the ones that we planted, that we sowed into potting soil up on the back porch, are way further ahead of these, and these came up, I mean, like at least a week before those other ones came up. The ones on the back porch came up. So I don't really know, I mean, what to do about that. I just think that the soil, or that material that we got from the nursery, it's just not good. It just is not good material. And I kind of had that feeling when we got it, but you live and you learn. Just really need my own compost. I'm gonna have to call some people and call some businesses and see if I can get their organic waste. And I'm just gonna start producing as much compost as possible. Seems like the fastest way to be able to get guaranteed good results here, because no one around me, near me, seems to be growing or making good compost. All right, task number 1 for today is going to be, oh, there's mushrooms everywhere. Different types of mushrooms. Task number 1 for today is going to be flipping the compost. There is some material that was pulled up this weekend from the front yard around the mailbox, kind of in the way, so I'm gonna have to move some of that out of the way first and then flip the compost. Hopefully it's miles ahead of where it was when I left it like 5 days ago. It was, I think, 5 days ago when I last turned it. I don't know, something like that. But I don't know. I'm just ready for it to be ready. Even though I'm not really ready to put it down anywhere. I guess I could put it down on one of these beds over here that I haven't used yet. before I put this back in, I do think a lot of it is looking pretty good. It's nice and dark and broken down, but there's still a lot of breaking down to do. It still isn't even, I don't even think it's, I mean, I don't know how far away it is from being done, but it definitely isn't done. I mean, at some point, once it isn't heating up at all, then it's just usable. So maybe it isn't gonna be, maybe the material that I use isn't gonna be conducive to having like a nice looking compost, and there's still gonna be kind of chunks and pieces in there. I don't know, but there are these larger chunks of stuff that is just kind of all throughout the pile that it's like matted together material, and that isn't really good because air can't get in between to all those parts that are kind of matted together. And I think the main cause of that is just the sheer amount of grass clippings that were in there and that not being mixed up and balanced well with the brown. And so I just had layers of grass clippings that have just matted together and become like one mass of material. And I mean, I don't really know what to do about that. There's no easy way to go in and break all that up, you know? So I guess it just is what it is, and just have to keep turning it and waiting. I just realized that there's a huge pile of old grass clippings back here. It's like my neighbor behind me in it's a different neighborhood, but their house is pretty close to ours back here. And they have a huge pile of grass clippings that has been sitting there for years, now that I think about it. I mean, it's a massive pile. I need to find out if they're gonna plan on doing anything with it, or if that's just where they're throwing it because they don't have anywhere else to put it. And then maybe they'll let me use it. And at this point, it's brown because it's all, you know, if you leave grass clippings sitting out for very long, in a couple of days, it's brown. All the nitrogen is pulled from it. So, I mean, that could be a really good source of brown. I mean, it's a lot. I need to ask them. But in the meantime, I do have a way to create brown material, and that's what I'm gonna do next, is chip and shred some more of the limbs and sticks that I have piles of around here. I'm going to try to start making that like a daily chore, to just do at least one tub full of that material a day, so that I can just accumulate it over time, so that I just have some finely chipped brown material whenever I need it. So random thing, but my mom just asked me to plant a plant up here behind the mailbox where all of the flowers were that she pulled up this weekend. And I wasn't gonna film it because it's just kind of random, but I want to show you the soil here. The soil, because there's just several inches of good topsoil, because my mom has always planted stuff here, so over time it's just kind of cultivated that top layer of soil, but after a couple of inches it gets to straight clay, and you can really see the difference. I want to show you the plants on the back porch really quick. You can see that these lettuce sproutlings I think they're doing okay, but they're just kind of pale. They should be a darker green. And some of them are kind of falling over, not really being able to support themselves. The cabbage looks okay, but some of them are falling over as well. Here's some more cabbage. Again, it's okay, the lettuce looks okay. I just think it needs to be put out. And then here are the onions and the carrots, and more cabbage and a little bit more lettuce. And I think they're doing all right. They're outside of the porch. They're like out on the back part. And you can see they're like way further ahead of the ones that are down in the bed right now, which kind of scares me, because I think what that means is when we put these out there into those beds, there's just nothing in those beds to really support life. I honestly think that's what it is. I just don't think that's good material. I don't know, but like I keep saying, it is what it is. I'm gonna try regardless and just see what happens, and then eventually I'll have my own compost, and I'll amend everything with compost, and then over the next couple of years that will start to revitalize the soil here, and the plants should be much healthier. I'm having a pretty light lunch today. I'm just gonna eat a banana and these fig bar things that I've talked about before, and an okra. This is an okra from the third batch of the fermented okra that I've been doing, and it fermented for over 2 weeks, and I didn't open it or anything that entire time. This half-eaten one is one from the second batch. I just wanted to re-taste these to see what the taste is, so I can see what the difference between these are, which I've already eaten some of it. And this second batch isn't bad, like I've said before, but it does have that like nice tangy punch to it that I enjoy, but there's like another flavor in there that's just kind of weird. What I'm trying to figure out is if that flavor that's kind of weird to me is just the flavor of fermentation, because if it is, then I just have to acquire that taste, and I'm okay with doing that. So I'm going to taste this one. This is the third batch, made with a little bit of different things. I can't remember exactly what all was in what all I did differently, but I can go back and look. It smells similar to the second one, so I'm assuming it's going to taste pretty similar. Huh. It does have that same weird flavor. So, as of right now, I'm going to assume that that flavor is just what happens to, at least that's the flavor of fermented okra. And it's not bad, it's just weird. But that one has a milder punch, and it might just be because it hasn't set for as long, even though it fermented for longer, but it'll continue to sour sour in a good way, as it sits for longer. At least that's what my understanding is. It might not. Once you put it in the refrigerator and it gets to a certain temperature, it might completely stop doing anything, but that second batch seems to be getting more punchy. I don't know. Anyway, it's not bad. It's okay, and I can get used to that flavor, and I can acquire that flavor, and I think it's worth it because fermented foods are like way better for you than a lot of other foods. You get a lot of good things from fermented foods. Okay, so some things came up this afternoon, and I didn't get around to chipping any wood, but that's okay. I'll just do more tomorrow. But I do want to go ahead and get stuff planted. It's like late afternoon now. I want to get some of these things transplanted into the ground, so I'm going to make little divots, little holes into this bed right here to put all the lettuce in, the Tom Thumb lettuce. And I'm gonna be honest, I should like make sure that I space them all out like at least 8 inches apart from each other, but I feel very unmotivated to do that because I don't feel very confident that they're gonna work very well anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna try to space them out evenly, but we'll see. Glass. More glass. This is ridiculous, to be honest. Since I have the holes already, this should be just as easy as popping these things out of these modules and then putting them in the holes. And I just watered these modules so that hopefully they'll come out, the modules will come out like in one piece instead of falling apart. Oh, but it looks like they're going to fall apart anyway. So, yeah, they're just falling apart. Yep. Yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna work. This potting soil that I used is not holding together very well. Mostly because it doesn't even drain, so the water doesn't even get all the way to the bottom, which is ridiculous. That's kind of silly. I don't know if this is gonna work. Okay, well, that was a disaster. As you can see, we got me and my mom helped me out. We got everything planted, like all the carrots, all the lettuce, all the onions, all the cabbage, but it was way more difficult than it should have been because of that dirt. The potting soil just falling apart. When we removed it from the little modules, it just fell apart and it made the whole thing way more difficult than it should have been. So another learning experience, and I didn't even film it all because I was just like getting frustrated. I was just like getting frustrated and didn't even feel like filming. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again anyway. So, but anyway, it's done. Now we'll see if they grow. I'm not confident that these things will grow, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it. It's like almost 7 o'clock probably. So I'm done for tonight. Tomorrow, I need to chip some wood.